Hello everybody, welcome to the webinar today. So we're actually ready from our side, however, to allow some more people to join the session, we'll just wait another minute before we get started. So thanks for your patience. Very good, thanks for waiting. So I think we're ready to get started now. So there were a few more people that joined the session. Again, welcome everyone. Thanks for taking the time for today's webinar talking about the Virtual SmartNode. My name is Mark Eberhardt. I think most of you already know me. With me today, I have Tanya Barbeito. She is our marketing manager for Western Europe. So she's going to be assisting me today. And if there is going to be some questions, so she will help me out with those as well. Very good. Let's get started. On the agenda today, I want to get started with a few words about the transformation we are seeing, digital transformation. Then we want to go straight into the product itself with all the details that are available there, use cases, as well as a live demo. So probably the most interesting part of today's session, and then a few things on the logistics. If there are any questions from your side, don't hesitate to ask those. You can use the panel on the right-hand side as illustrated here, or you can just raise your hand there using the tool. So we're more than happy to answer any questions. Good. Now let's get started on the market transformation. So the virtualization is not something that just happened recently. So many years ago, virtualization got into the enterprises already. So before that, services and servers, the infrastructure was done on a dedicated dedicated use case base, actually, where the application was running on a dedicated hardware server. With the virtualization coming up, so this kind of setup went away, so that applications were not running on a dedicated OS, dedicated hardware, but it was running in a virtualized environment, in a virtual machine, which was then running on a sort of a hardware server farm. The benefits of a virtualized setup in the enterprise is obvious. So there is a reduction in hardware cost, which also gives lower energy costs to maintain and operate this infrastructure. It allows a faster setup of new services and servers. So there is no required anymore to set up a hardware physical server for launching a new services, but instead by a few mouse clicks install a new virtualized server. It is simpler in terms of disaster recovery. So if something breaks, you can just start a new instance of a virtual server, and then there is no need to go on site and make a new installation of any hardware server in this case. So overall, there's a productivity increase going down the virtual route. So now what we did from our side, we wanted to be part of this virtualization, of course. So what we've done is we took the SmartNode as it is, and we just removed the hardware piece, so to speak. Actually, what you're getting now with the virtual SmartNode is all the nice functionalities a SmartNode provides can now be installed and executed in a virtualized environment. That means that the functions, the Trinity operating system, can be run, executed on a virtual platform such as VirtualBox, for instance, or on a KVN, or even in the Microsoft case on a Hyper-V, as illustrated in the bottom of this presentation slide. Now, the functional principle of a virtual SmartNode is quite interesting. So it provides a lot of options serving different needs, going into different use cases. So the virtual SmartNode running on a hypervisor. So one of those you just saw before. It can serve as an SBC, connecting the IP-PBX on the LAN side and the SIP trunk on the WAN side. Or it can go as a UCaaS environment. It can serve as an SBC as well, connecting the SIP phones directly to the virtualized PBX sitting in the cloud. But there is also the possibility to use the virtual SmartNode as an access router, terminating VPN links, for instance, doing DHCP functions and so on. And as you can see, the licensing of the virtual SmartNode is done out of the patent cloud, which allows a centralized, easy management with a few mouse clicks. The different functions can be enabled or disabled of the virtual SmartNode. Let's go into a bit more details of the different use cases there I just mentioned. Let's say the SIP trunking use case, where we have an IP-PBX, and nowadays the IP-PBX is no longer a piece of hardware that you buy and install, but instead it's a piece of software that you get and you also execute and run in a hypervisor. So we have done there several installations already with IP-PBXs where the SmartNode, virtual SmartNode, is running alongside an IP-PBX. For instance, 3CX or SWIX. So we've had different installations there, and the success stories are about to be published soon. The same thing works for Skype for Business. So as you know, we've done the Skype for Business certification. So the SBC, the virtualized SBC, is also working in that environment. So if you come across a customer use case there, the virtual SmartNode will do the job what an SBC does. And the same thing here for the UCaaS environment, where the SIP phones are talking to the SBC directly, which is virtualized in this case, and then going out to the cloud-based IP-PBX. Another nice functionality here, as you can see, the multiple WAN links. So the virtual SmartNode, acting as an SBC, is able to do the management between the different WAN links. So for survivability use cases, this is a very nice solution. So summarizing again the functions of a virtual SBC, the service demarcation, of course, network topology hiding when we're talking about security, the SIP normalization and interop. So we have a long list of interop tests we have done with different PBX vendors and also SIP phones. So that is another function the SmartNode provides. And the others, the usual things such as quality of service, the survivability I just mentioned, but also conversion functions such as translating one SIP language to another, or even doing the conversion from IPv4 to IPv6. So the advantages of a virtual SBC, so we saw it before already, and there's literally no CapEx. There is no hardware that needs to be bought anymore. There is no need for a purpose-built CPE on-premise with that. So what you do is, and you're just going to see it in the demo in a few minutes from now, you're just going to launch a virtual SmartNode instance in a virtualized environment that is already there in most of the enterprises out there. It allows you a fast and instant installation for the virtual SmartNode, and with that, it's very scalable and flexible with a few mouse clicks. Okay, very good. So with that, we'll just go to the next use case, but just very briefly, and because all the use cases are very detailed, described on our product website. So you're going to find them there. So there's other things the virtual SmartNode can do. It can act as an IP access router for IP networking, also managing different WAN links for bandwidth management, survivability purposes, or for instance, terminating VPN links from remote workers coming through the internet, connecting to the corporate network. The functions in this case, multi-WAN link management, load balancing, failover cases, high availability, and the usual functions you would expect from a IP access node in this case, NAT and NAPT, of course, DHCP, but also IPv4 to IPv6 conversion, as we have a full dual stack for IP networking. Again, here the benefits, it's simple to set up. It can be automated to a large extent, talking about zero-touch provisioning. It's very scalable, so it's actually you or your system integrator defining how much CPU performance and memory you would like to allow for the virtual SmartNode to be used. And it's very flexible, so you're just going to see it using the licensing out of the patent cloud. It adapts to any use case the customer has. Okay, very good. So now we just want to go for a demo quickly. What I'm going to do is using my virtual box here, starting a virtual SmartNode. There's actually two of them. I'll just start both. So that just takes a few seconds. While these SmartNodes are starting, I'll switch to my cloud dashboard. So the patent cloud, as illustrated before, is needed to operate the virtual SmartNode, and you're just going to see all the benefits that are coming along having the patent cloud. Starting with the dashboard, it gives you an overview about the devices that are currently connected to the patent cloud. There you can see them where they're located in the map. You can zoom in, can zoom out, and then there is a few more statistics where you can see things about the devices. I will just go to the device list here. So you see there is 5 SmartNodes that are connected to my patent cloud account, and the 2 bottom ones here are my virtual SmartNodes.
Maybe you can quickly say how these virtual SmartNodes are being shown in this device list, Mark.
Oh yeah, that's probably a good point, right? In order for the virtual SmartNode and of course any other SmartNode to appear in the patent cloud, there's just a few configuration lines that you will find in here in your organization. So those lines here need to be copy and paste directly into the window here, but of course this can be done in an automated way using zero-touch provisioning. So once these lines here are being copied into the configuration of your SmartNode, regardless virtual or not virtual, then these SmartNodes are going to appear on the device list here. So you can see this virtual SmartNode here is online. The status is green, everything is fine. So you see the location where this SmartNode is currently running. There is information about the licensing, and that's quite an important part in terms of operating virtual SmartNodes and also where the flexibility is coming from. So this SmartNode here has 10 zip sessions installed, and you can also see down here how many sessions were in use at the given time. It gives you the information here, and also the provisioning information can be found down here if there is anything set up in terms of provisioning. But there is more information available and more things that you can do out of the cloud for the virtual SmartNode. For instance, you can perform a software upgrade for this specific node. The only thing you need to do is go to the list here. Because it's a new product, there is not that many software versions available yet, but this list is going to grow quite quickly. You select the software version you would like the SmartNode to be upgraded to, select the time when this should be happening. You can even select the date and time by yourself, and then you define if this should be done graceful or forced. Once you click schedule update, the update is going to be performed either immediately or at the given time. More statistics on this SmartNode is available, such as the CPU utilization. So this one wasn't very busy, so it's running on my PC. So the CPU utilization was rather low. The same for the RAM utilization, and of course it also depends in how much RAM you allow the SmartNode to be used. On the right-hand side, information about the calls, how many ongoing calls were there. So you can search for that on an hourly base or on a daily base, weekly base. So it gives you all the important information of what this SmartNode is doing. More information on the device, going into more details here, the network ports, network address information, and also the traffic that is flowing through these networks, network interfaces, everything available here, and the same again for the calls. Config management is there, so you can instantly access the configuration of the SmartNode, the log information, everything is there. File management, so this is useful for the zero-touch provisioning, which can be done directly out of the cloud, and much more. The terminal CLI access can be launched out of the cloud directly as well. So you can see I have instant access to my virtual SmartNode through the pattern cloud. Good, so much about the tools available out of the cloud, operating SmartNodes in general. Now I want to talk about the licenses, and that's another important aspect. And basically the licenses are there to define the functions of your virtual SmartNode, which again allows you to choose which kind of use case you would like the SmartNode to be used in, right? Starting on the left-hand side, the license pool. So that's an overview about the licenses an organization owns. In my case here, I have 660 SIP sessions, so these I can now start to distribute. On the right-hand side, you see which devices have X amount of SIP sessions. So that's the current load, and the gray part here is my pool of licenses that I still have available to be given to any other SmartNodes that might be connected to the pattern cloud.
So this is really something which is new. It's not, again, assigned to a specific serial number, but now you have a pool where you can distribute your licenses from one SmartNode to another.
Which, again, provides the flexibility that we were lacking before, right? So with that, much more is possible, and it's even more cost effective, right? So you don't get the license which is going to reside on the hardware. So with that, as Tanya mentioned exactly, it can be done on a floating basis. Now, let's switch to the device list relative to the licensing. Again, we will find the SmartNodes down here. And now I just want to show you how quickly you can change or scale the number of SIP sessions the SmartNode should do. So I have different profiles here that I created. Right now, my virtual SmartNode number 1 is running on the profile ESBC 10. So I set that up because there is 10 SIP sessions. If I change that to 30, so you see it's being highlighted quickly, and then these additional 20 SIP sessions are being distributed to that SmartNode. Now, if we go back here, it takes a few seconds, up to a minute max, in order for the SmartNode to obtain these sessions here. So you can see now we have these 30 SIP sessions. It's instantly there. Just with one click, you can increase the number of SIP sessions on a SmartNode, and it's the same thing for any other functions. For instance, the IP routing or VPN networking. So if we want to assign more VPN tunnels, the SmartNode should handle just a few mouse clicks, and then this additional functionality is there.
Mark, we have already some questions. There's one from Darko asking, we are planning to use the virtual SmartNode for SIP normalization interconnection, but our voice network has not internet access. Can the virtual SmartNode do it without the pattern cloud?
So what the standard SmartNode, the standard virtual SmartNode delivery is concerned, it requires a connection to the cloud. However, on the technical level, we have options which we can discuss with you if there is no possibility to have internet access by the virtual SmartNode. So we'll be more than happy to talk to you about the project that you have in order to find the best solution to overcome the network connectivity matter.
And also another question from Darko was, how about licensing for standalone on-premise solutions?
So that's basically the same thing there. We could, on a project base, we can come up with technical solutions in order to give you the functionalities you need. However, the standard product, as I said, requires the connection to the patent cloud, because the benefits, the list of benefits is so long, so it's really the state-of-the-art solution through a centralized platform, through the patent cloud there, giving you more than just a licensing.
And maybe just another question from Horus, patent device security issues.
In terms of security, so we have several functionalities there. In terms of SIP security, to give you an example there, but it's more than just that, right? So we have the standard security features you would expect on this kind of device there. So again, on the SIP side, we support the standard things like SIP TLS and SRTP, of course, and different flavors there. But also we have different mechanisms to prevent SmartNodes from denial of services attacks, for instance. So there is a lot of features in terms of security aspects in that case. Good. So with that, I think that's about it what the demo is concerned. Switching back to my slides here, I just want to say a few things about the ordering. So how you can actually get a virtual SmartNode. It's fairly simple. So one way is the best and most easiest way by going to the patent web page, going under the session border controllers. There you'll find the virtual SmartNode. How to order it, there is different sets of SKUs that you can choose from, and we've grouped it in a way that you can select them on a use case basis. For instance, if you want to do a ESBC using the virtual SmartNode for a SIP trunking use case, you could just go to that category there, and you will see the licenses being required for that, and in that way you can place the order. Again, to highlight the cloud plans that we have there, so the cloud necessary to operate the virtual SmartNodes. So the standard plan, starting from the standard plan, from where you have the license server, which is a requirement for the virtual SmartNode, going up to the advanced and then further on to the professional. So this is what we have available for you to operate the virtual SmartNodes. How the process in terms of ordering is done, so it's done in the same way as you're used to it for the regular SmartNodes. So you're going to place the order to one of our channels or resellers, and then you're going to get the credentials for login to the patent cloud directly from us. And then you will also find the image to install a virtual SmartNode in your premise or your customer's premise directly on our web page, so you can download it from there. So nothing special here, pretty simple. Very good. Are there any more questions before I cover the benefits of the virtual SmartNode?
Yes, there are some more questions. One is from Jörg. Where is the data for the patent cloud saved? Is it in line with the GDRP?
Right. So it's, of course, that's an important question. So the GDPR compliance, that's something that we have, of course. So we are in line with that. So there is no issue with that. So once you are getting to the portal of the patent cloud, so you have the possibility to go through our SLA and all the statements there. So that's all available before you agree using the service.
Mm-hmm. Good, and then we have another question from Darko asking, most of our voice network, cause security reasons, haven't access to public network. How to install a virtual SmartNode in that case?
Right. So that's going back to the initial questions that we had from the audience. So that's something we are more than happy to do on a project base, making you a proposal there in how that can be done. So we're more than happy to reach out to you, Darko, to discuss the details about the project.
Okay, and then another question from Darko. Can we connect the virtual SmartNode to the cloud and after that continue to work without the cloud connection? That's
actually a very good question, right? For instance, imagining what's going to happen if there is an issue with the access link or the connection going to the patent cloud. So the answer is yes. The virtual SmartNode is continued to be working based on the latest configuration it got from the patent cloud. So this is going to work for a few days till a connection to the patent cloud is going to be required again. So with that, we want to make sure if there is any issue connecting the SmartNode to the cloud, that still the service is there. The customer is not being interrupted by this.
And then we have another question from Stanko. Can Zen virtual environment be used?
Right. So we've even had some customers using that. So the answer is yes. You can just simply navigate to the product webpage where you'll find a table with listing all the hypervisors, virtualized environments, and then the corresponding image for you to be downloaded. So that's all available on the product webpage.
Exactly. And then we have another question from Horus, but I think this question we are going to explain that just in the next slides, because it's about our advantages against our competitors, right?
Right. So yeah, I'll just ramp it up again and go through the benefits. So really, there is no need for any hardware anymore. So that means all the shipping of equipment going to the customer premise just simply goes away. And with that, there is no capex. So the virtual SmartNode is done on an OpEx model, which is widely being used today in this type of business. There is no performance limitations, so it's really depending on the infrastructure being available on the customer premise. So that actually defines the limits of what you can do with the virtual SmartNode. There is no local element management system required, as it is the case for some of our competitors. So instead, we have a centrally managed system, the patent cloud, which again has a zero turn on time, so no installation required, it's just there. With that, we have a really reliable solution, the virtual SmartNode along with the patent cloud. So with that, you can place your SmartNode wherever you need it in the network.
Exactly, and that's Horus really what's standing out patent from the competitors. It's really a virtual solution. While we have seen also from others which are offering a virtual SPC, for instance, we are offering a virtual SmartNode. We didn't want to call it just an SPC because it's much more than that, as you have seen. And in addition to that, our management system is also cloud-based. So you don't need to install anything on-premise. It's everything managed through the cloud.
Very good. Now, I think there was a question about try and buy, sort of,
yes,
right?
Exactly, so, from Tamas. So I think you can just...
The answer is there, right?
Yeah.
So there is a 90 days free trial, which gives you all the features that we have in the patent cloud. So everything is there for you for 90 days, and also the virtual SmartNode free of charge, what the trial is concerned.
Exactly. So and there's another question from Stefan. He's saying, I'm missing the download link for Hyper-V on the website.
That's a good point. So the Hyper-V was a bit delayed in the launch. So, but that one is coming in the next days. So just in a short time. But we are more than happy to give you an early version of the Hyper-V. But everything else is there, has been tested, is available to download. but the Hyper-V, we were seeing some delay what the launch is concerned.
And Stanko is asking, is transcoding supported?
Transcoding is something which is on our roadmap. So for now, there is the regular functionalities as an SBC does, going on the customer premise, where usually transcoding we don't see being required. So that's yeah, something coming soon, I would say.
Perfect. And then we have some questions from Darko. When we can expect users installation troubleshooting manual? Maybe Darko, you can rephrase your question again. Are you looking for a manual for the virtual SmartNode, or? And
yeah,
then,
so yeah, in terms
installation file, he was asking.
So the installation file is on our webpage, as well as all the documentation like data sheets and so on, as well as the manual. So that's going to be there on the webpage.
And in addition to that, we are doing also videos, how to use it, how the different functions can be implemented.
Right.
So you can find them.
What the cloud is concerned, a lot of videos you're going to find online as well, giving you all the details on how to operate. So that's the new way of doing manuals, not reading many pages anymore of manuals, but instead watching videos.
Exactly. And then the last question from Mahmoud, can you send the link for the previous slide or go back to slide 19?
Right, so what we'll do anyway as a follow-up, you're going to get the slides of today's presentation along with all the links, necessary links, including the one for the demo. So you're just gonna get that. But I'll just switch back to that you can read it. Now, there was another question I see, if we support multi-tenancy with that. So the answer is yes, of course. Multi-tenancy can be done in different ways. So our proposed way of doing it is by starting different virtual SmartNode instances, because it's easy, it's fast, a few mouse clicks, and with that you have your multi-tenancy. And talking about multi-tenancy, also the Pattern Cloud has this functionality. So you serving different customers, different organizations can set up that correspondingly in the Pattern Cloud using the professional plan that offers a multi-tenants functionality. Very good. Tanya, have we any more questions? I know we're a bit over time already.
Yes, no, I think we replied to all of them, but in any case, I will review them all after the webinar, and we will send an email to all those who didn't receive a reply, or which their question was not answered.
Right. Thank you very much for that. And in any case, you know how to reach us. Send us an email. We're more than happy to answer your request. And with that, I would like to thank you all for joining today's webinar. And please look out for any new invitations coming up soon. So there's going to be more product launches we plan to do throughout the year. So stay tuned for that. Great. Then I wish you everyone a nice and successful day. I'm looking forward to see you sometime soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.